All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Owarimonogatari, Season 2, Episode 7. Ogi is about to die.
And Araragi has
Not listened to her pleas.
Well, yeah, and connected the dots. And become self-aware.
Right, brought the truth to light.
Brought the truth to the light out of the darkness.
So,
yeah.
How is this actually going to work?
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah, we have our theories. We have our specific insights. We have some knowledge about the future. We have...
That's true, yeah. There's the stuff
basically just some of the stuff with regards to how the other characters have suggested that this be solved.
Right, like...
And yet Araragi has been one to do things his own way as well.
That's
and
true.
I do feel like the pleas of Ogi will reach him somewhat.
Right.
And
the question is, what is he going to do about it?
What is he going to do about it?
Yeah.
So now that everything is in the light, is there anything more that has yet really to come into the light that will maybe bring up here? And it might really be cool to see it, because in some ways it could end up becoming a monologue while also a conversation. And I feel like this is about to be like one of those moments where we're like, oh, Monogatari's flexing its muscles of showing how it does conversations just really well.
The thing is, though,
like, there should be a lot to talk about. Like, it shouldn't be a quick thing if it's like an execution in that regard.
But what if by him saying that finished it? Like what if that him saying those words?
I don't want it to work like that.
Yeah?
I don't want it to work like that, personally. I feel like that is a really cool way that they could do it. But then I would like him to process it with another character.
Sure,
but of all
sort
the
out
characters
the aftermath.
But of all the characters to process it with, it makes sense for it to be Shinobu primarily. But
sure.
Shinobu, in my mind, has the least connection to Ogi in that sense there.
Right.
Because, because she's a different era in some ways in his life in that regard. Like, she comes from before, if you will. So I almost feel like, no, it has to be Araragi processing with himself, you know?
Sure.
And that's something that we haven't seen too much of in a big chunk of time.
Yeah.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, we're going to be starting the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Ooh. Cheering.
Yeah.
Oh, because he succeeded.
Right. So we're seeing the conversation of when they told him.
Rainy Devil, gotcha. Oh, okay. Gotcha. It's very thematically relevant for that family.
Cool.
Oh, cool. So we were kind of on the right line of things there. Right, that would be too simple.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
And you wish you had something like that for yourself.
Yeah.
Wait. Really?
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Gotcha.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Cool. That brings up... Whoa.
Okay. Right.
Wow. Oh my god. Okay.
This is so meta. I love it.
Oh. Whoa.
Sure.
Yeah. Jeez. Damn. Oh, cool. Okay, gotcha. So there's the connection to Oikura. Cool. Game over. Yeah.
Oh.
Jeez.
Gotcha.
Right, it resonates with you. Exactly, because you do know on some level. Right. Yep. Damn, that's so good. Oh. Wow, yeah. Oh, buddy. Beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Oh my god. That was one of the best ways to summarize everything.
Well, and
now I don't even really necessarily need much more than just him processing it, you know, emotionally, just how he feels about the whole thing. But like, you know, plot-wise in that respect,
right,
that covered a lot of the logical reasons as to why Ogi came to be.
Right, because one of the things in Monogatari that's always like, I don't want to say been confusing for me, but been something that I feel like I haven't been able to properly participate in.
Right.
Is the sort of the lore behind the spiritual entities and the aberrations and things like that, because a lot of them are...
It's based in symbolism that we don't understand.
It's based in symbolism and cultural things that I don't get, right? So in this case, with Ogi, it was something where it's just like, okay, I guess Ogi is a part of Araragi, that makes sense.
Right.
I see where it would come from on the inside of Araragi.
Yeah.
But as for where it would come from on the outside in the lore,
right,
I just figured that wasn't really needed. You know, like because I didn't...
Because Araragi is that bridge between the human apparition, the vampire, you know, physical, like all that, yeah. So you could have just had it be that he has a convergence point and he doesn't need to go into the lore of it for his own aberration. But
hey, no, there you go.
There we go. Yep. A very cool explanation, too. Okay. Yep, third time. There you go. Nice. Oh. We're shifting settings here.
Or is this the darkness coming for
her? Yeah, I think it is. Whoa. Oh. Dang.
It's my nature.
Wow. Wow.
Oh.
Oh my God. Right. Yeah. Right. Dang. Oh. Yeah. Oh, this is so cool. Yeah. Whoa.
All right.
Oh. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
God. With this music too. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah. Here it is. Here it is. Oh.
Oh.
Wow. Wow. Oh. God, this is beautiful.
Yeah. I saved myself.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Yep.
All right.
Oh my God, this is perfect.
Yada yada. Wow.
Because in the end, Araragi loves himself.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, this is very much in character.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. Right?
Wait.
No way.
Wait.
Come on. All right.
Yeah. So where'd the darkness go?
Oh,
she found him.
Oh. Yeah. My niece, yeah. She's not lying about who she is. Yeah.
Right.
Genius.
How did that make the darkness go away, though?
Cause
yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Acknowledged. Yeah, she's no longer lying about being Oshino-ogi. Yeah.
Cool. She was a fake that became real.
Whoa. Yeah. You saved yourself. Yep.
Yeah.
So good. Well done. God, we are going all the way back to the beginning in so many ways. Yeah. Beautiful. Yes. Yes. Oh.
Wow.
Fantastic. Oh.
Or rather, the punchline?
No way.
What?
Wow. That was like a almost one-for-one recreation of that scene from
Bake?
Bake, yeah.
Uh-huh. Of course. Wow.
Dang. Maybe there is.
Yeah.
What? Oh. Oh! Wait, what? No!
Oh my God. No.
You need to brush up his intelligence. Bird.
Yeah, coming back to this conversation. Cool.
You too, yeah. Ha!
I am above you.
Oh. Normally. Yes. Those common people. Yes. Yes, please do.
Awesome. Because she found her way home.
Yeah, she did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. Can't have that.
Can't have that at all.
Beating that line. Oh, the tale will be told.
Oh.
Yes.
That warmed my heart. Oh my god.
Okay. All right.
Hey.
Yeah, that's right. Aragi's not the only one graduating.
Yeah. Oh. True, yeah.
Where you going?
Dang.
I see. She's not being serious, right?
No. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh. Hanakawa's starting to get that little judging look for a second there, you know? Right. Yeah. You're still referring to them as such?
Hey.
Oh. Oh.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey.
Wow. Oh my god. It's so good.
Wait.
That's terrifying.
Hold on. What?
Yeah, that makes me nervous.
Oh, are you sure? Are you sure, Senjo?
Really? But how is it presented?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That was.
I mean,
that's
it's
a gorgeous.
It's for Hitagi. It's not for you, Araragi. Wow. Wow. Okay. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Back to this classroom.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay.
Oh
all right. That's great.
What an amazing
That's so good.
ending. Like, and there's more?
I guess.
There's more?
But I have no idea what it would be. Like
it has to be like further epiloguing, or it's going to be slightly out of the timeline.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
thinking
it's not
either
gonna
out of
be
the
linearly
timeline
after this.
or like, you know, a little
like
bit of
way
like
ahead.
post high school stuff. Sure.
Like it could be as much like as like you know, Suruga Devil was, you know, basically like a month later, but they could go like quite a bit later or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Oh? He's telling the tale?
Hey. Great. Oh.
Nice.
That's cool.
Oh. That's
all right.
So good.
All right. Wow.
I want to like stand up and applaud right now. That was just amazing.
That is definitely applause worthy.
All right, that was good. That was a really good, feel good, wholesome, tear-inducing finale.
Oh yeah, like
we had some really strong character moments, not just for Araragi, but just for characters
everybody.
in the show that
like,
we've come to know and love all this time, and like Ogi, Shinobu.
Yep.
Like
pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
And that's something that kind of almost confuses me a little bit, because I know that this isn't the end of Monogatari.
Yeah, there's more Monogatari
because we've got
watch,
like 6 episodes left or something like that, I think.
Well, because apparently we're ending somewhere around New Year's. But
right. So this isn't the end.
Yeah.
But this very much was an end episode, right?
Yeah. Owarimonogatari.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right, which is fitting for the title. We, had the final confrontation with our main character, Araragi, and, his...
And Araragi.
Well, and Araragi, right, with Ogi, and that was wonderful. So so his journey has been resolved, he has completed his adolescence, right? And exactly. And there will be many more journeys, in the future and all of that stuff, but this has been resolved, and we got to tie up everything with the other characters and see how they've come full circle and how their journeys have, or this current journey for each of them has come to an end as well. I love it. It was fantastic. But Ogi,
God, that was just so good. So
it was amazing.
So there is 3 stages to this. There's Gein giving the audience and us basically the look in of
the explanation.
What Ogi is.
Yep.
Who Ogi is. So we knew that by this point, Ogi was Araragi and Araragi is Ogi. But we didn't know in the lore, in the world building side of things, how Ogi came to be beyond the aspect of Araragi, having this really tough end to his summer that led into a whole bunch of other things, with him then taking on an apparition or an internal judging kind of system that would try and basically
make everything right.
Yeah, push him in certain directions without really micromanage directing him, like puppeteering him. So it wasn't a possession kind of thing.
Right.
It wasn't even a thing of where this was something completely anomalous to the world system kind of stuff in Monogatari. This is something that happened very similarly to Gain Toei, and that's cool to have in that it was similar but still different, because hers was with self-control, which makes sense given what's been going on not just with Suruga, but just within that family.
What we've heard about her, yeah.
Exactly. But it's with criticism. Self-criticism.
Right. Yep.
Wow.
And I love it because this story has been about the emotional ups and downs of Araragi, but also specifically with how he views himself.
Yep.
And the mechanics, as far as the way that this was handled, answered so many questions that I had about how all of this worked. Because like I'll just start listing off some of the questions I had. One, what was the whole situation with other people being able to see Ogi?
Right.
What if it's not a possession, you know, then how does that work? And if it was a possession, how does it work when Araragi isn't present? Because it didn't seem like it would actually be Araragi there, right? What's the deal there?
Yeah.
What's the situation with the devil, with the whole, you know, that thing for Suruga? Because that seemed like something of big enough importance, right? That it wasn't just there for the sake of being just one oddity, right?
Right.
So what was the connection? And given that Ogi also seemed very interested in it, you know, later with in Hana, what's the connection there? I don't get it. What's going on, right? You know, is there going to be some further explanation of why it's in the story? Well, we got it. And then the other one of just the is it something that is independent from the mechanics of the world, or you know, or all of that? But no, it turns out it was through the first kin and all of that. Like, I love it because that's something where we get introduced to Ogi, right? And we're like, okay, this is the mystery of Ogi, but because it's not chronological with how the story goes, it's thematically linear, but not time-wise linear. We can get the explanations and the hints of how it ended up happening, how Ogi came about, without realizing that that's what's happening, because it's at a completely different point in the story. So we wouldn't think that this would be about Ogi's introduction, you know, or setting that up, because why would we? Why would we?
Well, in some ways, the main thing that we did keep in mind for the most part was all this somehow had some thematic or symbolic or
relevance,
foreshadowing tie-in to Araragi's overall journey, because
that's what this is about.
Primarily about him. So, in this episode, we not only showcased how that worked within the context of Ogi criticizing him with the whole pie scene, or cake, whatever it was. We also saw it in retrospect based on the idea that Ogi was trying to guide Araragi towards forsaking adolescence in a lot of ways.
Sure.
This was Ogi trying to help, trying to do the best that she could, specifically to give Araragi the shot at doing the right thing. And he had, over the course of his life, really lost connection with what the right thing was. So a lot of the things that he did ended up being things that were wrong for him, but ended up being right for others. So, as of, you know, over the course of all the things that the characters have been kind of helping him come to understand via just kind of proxy development, like they develop by learning this thing and he kind of, gets some secondhand of that. When we see these characters end up being the ones to ultimately help themselves, it probably drove even more the idea of, I'm not really helping myself in a lot of the things that I do. I'm very self-sacrificial, if anything, to help other people, but they're the ones that end up saving themselves ultimately.
So what am I doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Then, you know, we have the whole thing with Hachikuji in August, then we get to Ogi, then being one that's trying to, in some ways, guide Araragi towards that point to where he can,
at the very least, be honest with himself.
Be a little bit more self-aware. And he was doing great with that. In some ways, Ogi did help with that, but that was also at the detriment, sacrifice
of some other
people. Because according to Ogi, no, they maybe deserved it.
Right.
Just like maybe you deserve certain things because of X, Y, Z. And we went over that whole thing in the episode.
And,
you know, with what were the things he was doing wrong, which is a whole other discussion to bring up.
I love that it's something where, because Araragi has been so hypocritical in a very real way throughout the show, right? Because he, just with how he puts others so much before himself, right? And is so down on himself, but at the same time doesn't really criticize others, right? And then when he's like, okay, I need to be able to be critical, right? Ogi appears and all that stuff. Ogi turns into the antagonist because no.
Yeah.
Who's to say I'm just going to be critical of you? That's not how this works. Right? And that's why Ogi is an aberration, right? Because it's something where it takes on a life of its own.
Yep, exactly.
And using the matter creation from Shinobu and even getting to Araragi via Shinobu, but then also picking up the matter creation so that Ogi could actually have a body. It's like that's great. I love it. Yeah. I love it. There were so many things where it was kind of answering questions that in some cases I'd always been kind of wondering about.
Right.
But then in other cases, it's just answering questions that I never even bothered to think about.
Yeah, true.
It's like, hey, did you ever think about this? It's like, oh, that's a great point. Well, here's the answer.
I think it's something that you probably would have thought about more if you were following the series for years and years and years and years.
Sure, yeah.
And it was more of a thing of where you were poring over theories and stuff.
Rewatching and
Right. But it being a thing of where there was more kind of anytime there's a little bit of new content, you would dissolved it, dissected it, consumed every bit of it from every angle and stuff. But
I can't imagine the people that had to wait all those years for the Kizu movies to come out.
Yeah,
that must have
exactly.
been crazy.
And hence the whole watch order discussion that we heard about. But okay, we get to Araragi kind of having this moment of realizing, okay, Gein's bringing up all this stuff. This is all, clicking with me. And she brings it up you understand, right? This resonates with you. This is something that's rather cool here. There were a couple just little things I wanted to draw attention to that were rather cool. One of my favorite ones here that was just kind of oh, that's fun, is something that I think I could easily read too much into, but just the idea that the Oshino came from Oshino Shinobu, which is fun when you think about what happens later in the episode, because our Oshino Meme acknowledges Ogi as an Oshino, which is something that he did for Shinobu back then, basically saying, sometimes the fake can
become the real thing.
And hold on, just the idea that Gein said, oh, I foolishly called myself that guy's little sister, and that kind of set a bad precedent. Basically, in my mind, calling back to the idea that, well, if Gein knows everything and she's going to casually just, lie about something like that, I don't know if that really means anything, but it's the kind of thing of where Araragi is used to, in some cases, taking the opinions and thoughts and just not factual stuff said by people that are people that know everything, or they don't actually know everything, but they know what they know too much, to the point where it influences a little bit of how they decide things in general.
Well, and if you think about it, that could have been Gein basically setting up the way for Araragi to save Ogi, right?
Oh, that would have been, wanted to. That would have been just giga brain think about it. Awesome if that was the case, yeah.
Because Gein knows everything. So even here in this instance, right? She knows that Araragi is going to want to save Ogi, right?
Oh, yeah.
But how do you do that? How do you make it so that Ogi doesn't need to get consumed by the darkness? Well, what if...
You need to have Hanakawa go all the way to Antarctica.
Right.
Grab him.
Grab
long time ago.
So
and who pushed...
I get the feeling, I don't remember, but I wouldn't be surprised if we found out that Gein was the one who ended up originally suggesting, or implanting the idea in Hanakawa's head of finding, Meme. But also, if by saying that she was saying sort of, oh yeah, I set this bad precedent by calling myself, the
little sister
of Meme, that could also be, just sort of giving Araragi the thing of hey, if that was all taken care of. Although, even though he wasn't the one who actually ended up accepting Ogi as
No.
Oshino. So
No, but the thing of basically that this is something that he's done before in some ways. Because what is Shinobu?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when we get the actual scene in the darkness and stuff, it is a almost like blood and everything, missing limb, you know, the shot and everything, just recreation of Kizu in just so many ways.
And also just the idea of Araragi. Now, granted, he's saved a bunch of people, even when they have, you know, hurt him, right? And often it does get very bloody. You know, Suruga's first arc is, you know, an example of that, but he can take it. But yeah, him going and basically saying, I will specifically give myself to save you.
Right.
You know, like, there was so much in this episode where I'm like, I feel like this is a large chunk of the master list of like take down the terms from this episode and then just go back through the series and see where they come up, you know? Like see all the places that they're just sort of sprinkled throughout.
The ultimate like plot Easter egg like, fest. Where it's not Easter eggs in the stricter sense because Easter eggs are more like just kind of subtle out of nowhere references.
Sure.
But, like no, just plot threads, just it's actual things that you can just pull on forever. So the cake pie kind of scene here, because this is one I think is rather, like you said, it was really meta, and I was laughing about this bit because there's something that I find funny that has nothing to do with actually what's being said. So I want to first address what's being said here, and then we can talk about kind of our interpretations of what's going on here. So this is Gain basically saying, based on your internal right and wrong compass, Araragi, you have been judging yourself in this way.
Right.
Now, what's interesting here is that if we look at this in the meta aspect of what's being said here, it's kind of like Gain is saying, Araragi, have you been enjoying a little bit of a, I dare say the word, but I almost want to, a little bit of a
hareme?
Harambe? What?
Yeah, right.
What? No, not at all, because that is the point. That is the point.
Yeah.
This is Gain saying, you've known since break deep in your heart that you're cheating. That's what's important. Araragi judged himself. This is not about factual, like, whether or not something was a specific way. This is about
within his own heart. He's like, I'm not doing this right.
I am not doing this right. I am eating all the pieces of the pie. I should be choosing here. I don't deserve this. I don't.
Right.
I shouldn't. A whole bunch of I and negative statements.
Yeah. And by the way, with the cheating term, I think there's the obvious of, you know, Monogatari being the deconstruction of the harem genre and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also the idea of, with Araragi's own low self-esteem and low self-worth, right? Even not talking about the whole relationship side of things of who will Araragi end up with, you know, or, you know, anything like that, right? Just the standpoint of, do I deserve this, right? Because you know, because
it's not him cheating on Senjugahara cheating. It's the
cheating at life,
breaking
the universe,
the rules.
Right, exactly.
I
shouldn't be able to use my powers of immortality like this. I shouldn't be able to have all these awesome people around me, given who I am, what I am, et cetera, et cetera. You know, in the case of, like, say, Shinobu, after that whole thing with Kizu and everything, reconciling. Should I even be able to do that? That doesn't.
Wow.
That doesn't seem right. You know, with Senjugahara, I can't actually like be dating her, right? Like, because
I'd be taking advantage of her.
I'd be taking advantage of her, right?
Bro,
it's like,
oh my god.
So
it hurts. It hurts because all these things that he's bringing up, that Gain's bringing up that he's thought or he's judged himself by, are all things that make sense for someone to judge themselves by. But with that external third person omniscient perspective, you can look at this and go, no, buddy, no. No. These people are all around you and they are blessed to know you. Like, it is is their
It's
pleasure.
not a one-way street.
It is not a one-way street. Yeah, exactly. Now, I gotta say, there's a couple of these ones here that particularly like mean a lot to me, like personally. The Senjigahara one and it's just wholesome as hell. But I really like, personally, I wanted to bring something up here. You notice that there's a specific character that is like a main Monogatari girl, and she's just not on this list. Who's best girl, Jacob? Tell me. Who's best girl? Say it.
Oh.
Say it.
Hachikuji?
Hachikuji.
Wait, what?
Hachikuji's not on this list.
Wait, she isn't?
She's not. Exactly. Yep. I can show you the whole thing.
Well, yeah, when it showed the whole pie.
Yep, she not there. Because Hachikuji is best girl. She transcends the cake.
There is no notion,
is a lie.
Even within Araragi's heart, there is no notion of doubt or guilt or anything about knowing Hachikuji and how things went there.
And have that wonderful, creepy friendship.
Which is funny because Shinobu has two pieces of cake.
Yes.
Like both the kiss shot form and the Shinobu form.
Yes, that is something that you could also use as evidence to be like, hey, but she gets a third of the whole thing. You know?
Exactly.
So there you go.
Well, but I think that is also a good way of sort of addressing it because
the past and the present.
The past and the present and the two different people that Shinobu was.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Because and that's maybe that's why I love Shinobu as a character so much because of the sort of the journey that she's gone on and everything. But everything that happened with Kizu, that was a whole slice of the pie in and of itself, right? Totally. Of course Araragi has a whole bunch of guilt and things like that and the equally unhappy and all of that stuff and then there's the stuff with Shinobu.
Yep.
Is it okay to be this close to someone where there's all that stuff in the past with them?
Yep.
That doesn't seem right. So
yeah. Also, I gotta say, one of my favorite little things in there that I don't even think is necessarily a joke, but you see the girls sipping tea in between taking looks at the pieces of the slices and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the one that made me kind of chortle in my just a little bit is when Gain's saying you developed a friendship with Hanakawa Tsubasa but kept worrying about whether you deserved it since you couldn't live up to her feelings. And it's like, wait a minute, live up to her feelings, which is yes, I like that it's acknowledging in some ways that Araragi is very aware of the fact that she liked him a lot, and he was aware back then,
right?
Too, but and that whole thing there. But then the fact that the person who sips tea after that is Shinobu, and I just get a kick out of in kiss shot form, kind of being like, yeah, I was around at that time.
I remember,
eating baka that was just funny, but. I'm not even really taking that seriously.
Right, she wasn't in his shadow at that point or anything. But,
no, that was just a joke that I made up in my own mind, basically.
Oh yeah, but I'm with you.
But okay, the case of Oikura as a springboard. So I like this basically saying that this is the portion of her mind that manifested. Dark Koyumin, she took things one by one. With the case of Oikura, Sodachi as a springboard and crushed them. So. This is a really cool thing to bring up because Oikura is really integral to the beginnings of Araragi's, in some ways, growing up towards life being messy.
Yeah.
Life being not so simple in black or white.
Right.
Meaning, yes, there is darkness and there is bright light, and those exist. So it's not all gray. But there is the point where they meet in the middle and things get fuzzy and it is difficult to determine, especially on first glance, whether something is right or wrong or it is in that area there. So that whole event wasn't where Ogi was formed or anything, but that was one of the catalysts that Ogi used to be why this is so important for you to take
to listen
seriously, Araragi, and thus, I really like the way it was brought up here because the Oikura Sodachi arc was one of my favorites in just
Monogatari
overall.
It was absolutely incredible as an arc, but then also with respect to Araragi as a person, one, from the as far as the show's concerned, chronologically, that's the first.
Yep.
Right? Yes, there were events in the show that happened before that, but not connected to Araragi.
Those are his origins.
Right. That was essentially where all the story started. Why? Because, plenty of people go on coming-of-age journeys, right? Yep. Whether you're talking about fiction or real life.
Yep.
Why are we talking about Araragi's coming-of-age story, then? Even one at all.
Right.
And just instead of any of the other characters, because he's got the most growing to do. And the reason that he has the most growing to do is because of everything that happened with Oikura. Because that snowballed everything else. It completely destroyed his life, right? Back then. So now, of course he has this incredibly strong internal desire to figure out how to criticize himself because, oh my God, I didn't even realize how much someone was hurting, how desperate they were for help. And I just didn't see.
Yep.
And that was the one that still needed to be addressed. It still needed to be fixed. So when Ogi shows up, when Ogi's created, she goes for that one first because that is the one that actually, in my mind, that was the true utility purpose of Ogi, because that was kind of the need that wasn't being addressed that sort of helped her take form. But
back in the context of that earlier part of Owari, it was something that had been kind of selectively removed from his brain in terms of memory. So my question, almost that I don't know if it's fully answered here yet, but it might have been answered just in previous stuff, and I'm muddying it within the context of this here, is it that Araragi didn't actually remove it from his memory, but Ogi brought it back up as necessary, as like hey, we need to make some big decisions in general, so I need you to be brought into the process that I've been working you through already, because I know about this Araragi, and I've been utilizing it as a springboard to go through this and stuff, but I need to bring you a little bit into the fold now.
I think it's just something where Araragi blocked it out.
Okay, and then Ogi then in some ways
brought it up,
helped him by bringing it back up again.
Yeah, and because with a lot of the other situations that Araragi was in, right?
Wow.
It could have been brought up by someone else. It could have been, and people did bring it up, even if they didn't properly get his attention, even if it wasn't enough for him to change, right?
Yeah.
Because, as many times as his sisters would talk about how they were worried about him, that wouldn't make him any less prone to just doing the self-destructive thing for the sake of someone else, or the self-sacrificial thing, rather.
Okay.
So, Ogi addressing this, without it, I don't think any of this other stuff would have happened, right?
Oh, yeah,
like all of the growth that happened afterwards, right? Because that weed was able to be pulled up and dealt with.
Yeah. So a little confirmation about the Kaiki incident at the end of Koi.
Yep.
Then we bring up the idea that this kind of
debate,
judging of whether or not someone should exist in this regard, ended up actually getting projected out to his sister.
Right.
Which that's just kind of scary to think about, is that was something that did come from within Araragi's self-criticism.
Right, because if you're going to be critical of yourself like that, even if you basically are excusing people because they're not you, because you mostly focus it on yourself, those criticisms are still there. You're just kind of ignoring them, right? You're letting them pass by. So in the case of Tsukiji being the Phoenix, I think that's wonderful as far as like a point of connection, right? Because as a Phoenix, right, in Monogatari, I love it. I love Phoenixes. I love that Tsukiji was a Phoenix. Awesome, right? What's the purpose in the story of the Phoenix with regards to Tsukiji? You could maybe make some connections about the sort of just overflowing with life and constantly, self-rebirth kind of a thing. That could suit her character rather nicely, right? But then how does it relate to Araragi? Well,
right.
Mortality. Yeah. He kind of does abuse that, doesn't he? But he would never, ever be as judgmental of his sister as he is of himself.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
and that's sort of a nice way to put it in contrast, perspective, whatever, because if someone were to say the kinds of things about himself that he says about himself to Tsukihi, he would get pissed, right? He wouldn't stand for it.
Yeah. Then we have the interaction with Ogi and Araragi, and him summoning in the darkness, essentially, to acknowledge that she is lying, she is not real.
Yep.
And thus needs to be consumed. And Ogi's, asking, like, was this something like, because of, like, the severity of my sins or something? Like, is this something I deserve? No, I guess it's just the way it has to be. Wow. To think I was doing this, I must have been quite insane. But then, didn't you know this would happen? Like, why did you come here?
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to fight a fight even if you realize you have no chance of winning.
Yeah. Like, it's so good because you're almost able to feel just that little bit of Araragi being told in himself, like, you could save her. There is a way that you could save her. So, of course, she's going to show up. Because he also knows, like, there's maybe a way I could save her.
Gotcha.
I really feel like it's a bit cyclical logic, but just in the context of the fact that he does give the effort to save her means that was something that, even if it was just instinctive, like it was instinctual, I think he was totally thinking about it somewhere in the back of his mind. Just the slightest little bit.
Well, and even if he wasn't, what Ogi said of, even if you can't win the fight, sometimes there are fights you just have to do.
Yeah.
Even if he hadn't been able to save her.
Yep.
Besides the point. He still had to do it. He still had to try.
Killing yourself for the sake of others. If it isn't Ogi, you, Araragi.
Right. So,
are you actually willing to die for the sake of yourself?
That whole point of, like, conversation that's brought up, because it's almost Araragi's whole character. Like,
oh yeah, it is.
Like, I love the characters in Monogatari. I'm constantly perplexed by how Nisio Isin was able to create characters like this that are so consistent in everything, and just from, like, the publishing perspective, while writing the light novels at the pace that he did and all that stuff, and making it holistically over the course of the whole story really fit.
Right.
And I think it's because he keeps them to a very succinct, to the point concept, right?
Yeah.
Is that Araragi doesn't value himself enough, right? But he values others, and he sees that as being that's love, right? Even for, someone who's the most pathetic human being who ever lived, or whatever. I'm sure that line was used a few times throughout the series, but I can't remember where.
Worst human being imaginable. Yeah.
Right, worst human being imaginable.
Yep.
Well, it's love if I sacrifice myself for someone else, right? Because that's one of the most wonderful things you can do.
This would be self-love, right?
Right, exactly.
Sacrificing yourself for the sake of yourself.
Yep. Like, that's growing up too, right? Sacrificing some aspect of yourself because you know that you are in it for the long term, right? You're not just looking for the immediate gain or whatever. So God, and
then so who was right? Me. Well, I was right with Oikura. You were right with Oikura. I was right with Sengoku. Tadatsuru. I guess I'll call that a draw.
Right.
But then no, because I'm the one disappearing right now. I guess you were right. Farewell.
My adolescence. In this final episode, like,
I'm glad I could disappear like this right before you graduated.
It's just the end of one of your many stories. Like,
it's not even the final episode. This is just good stuff. But that last little bit, he lunges for her, collapses over her. The darkness goes over his back, takes off his arm.
Yep.
And because of that, I have to wonder, did that do anything mechanically in your mind regarding the idea of that the darkness takes basically that which is fake, which is lying about it, symbolically? The idea that we had the whole thing with Tsuruga being the arm, the faux demon arm and stuff like that, the devil arm. In this case here, a limb is ripped off, revealing, his blood or something like that being though. He's human. He's mortal.
Right.
But
so here's the connection that I do see. And I feel like it's not a super strong one.
Okay.
But given that Ogi is similar to the situation that happened with Tsuruga's mom.
Yep.
Right? And Tsuruga, even though we find out that there were other parts of the devil in Hana that were out and about, right? All that was left of the devil was
an arm.
An arm.
Yep.
And I believe it was the right arm. It might be the left arm. No, I think it's the left arm. So, okay, scratch that. But I was going to say, Araragi is essentially protecting here another one of the devils, right? You know, and he gives up an arm. So, you know, that's all that was left versus that's what's given. Like, potentially,
we could go into that
different arm
at
and
another time. Yeah, but that's something I thought was rather potentially pointed because, you know, afterwards there's the whole idea of him, you know, no longer being a vampire. So,
right.
Yeah. You'd throw away your life so easily for another's sake.
Right, because he's not a... Yeah, that's one of the other things that I forgot about, but I
did nothing but criticize you and make you suffer. It's just... It's such a good callback to Kizu. Yep. It's such a good callback to every time Araragi has done this kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, this I think is why it's... Here's another connection here.
Okay.
To Kizu specifically. All the times that Araragi went to save other people in like Bake and things like that, even if it came at great cost to himself, it was still a big deal, right? He was still putting himself in a great deal of harm's way, and he's not a full vampire, so theoretically he could die.
Yes.
But he was still part vampire, so him losing a limb wasn't too big of a deal because he'd get it back. In Kizu, one of the things that I think is the big difference about that part, and granted he wasn't in nearly as good of a place back then, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Sure.
But he sacrificed himself knowing that would be the end, right?
And it was a complete stranger.
It was a complete stranger, you know, like he had no reason to save this person, and it was at incredible, what he thought would be permanent cost to himself.
Yes.
In this situation, it's
similar in that
even
regard.
though it doesn't end up being a permanent cost to himself because of something else that he's not aware of.
Right.
Within his own mind, when he makes the decision, this is it. This is a final ultimate sacrifice.
Consuming thing in that regard, and he is the biggest fake in some area of his mind with regards to this as well.
But you know, what's the difference between there's a line, I can't remember like who said it, but it was Kaiki. Well, no. Yes, for the fake thing, but
okay.
But like a quote that like a real life person said.
Gotcha.
Of how can you tell the difference? Maybe you never know if a hypocrite is actually someone who's trying to change.
Okay, what does the line mean?
Well, the idea that if someone is their nature is one way or whatever, but they behave another way, is that because they're being, because they're being deceitful, or dishonest or whatever, or is it actually because they're trying to put on a new identity?
Oh, right? Gotcha. And there, you just caught them in the middle of transition.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's life in general, right?
Right.
Aren't we all a bunch of hypocrites in that regard?
Right. And that's something that Araragi has never been very understanding of when it comes to himself.
Well, he's never been very patient, maybe.
Sure.
His understanding is the same word for it, yeah. Mm-hmm. But then he goes into this awesome bit there as... It's like, well, you do this for someone who does nothing but criticize you and make you suffer? You're the absolute worst as a person. I didn't save someone else right now. I just saved myself. Hitagi did, Hanakawa did, Shinobu did. Everyone saved me.
Yeah.
Not saving myself, the one everyone saved.
Yep. Can't allow such a thing to happen.
Oh, it's so good.
Yep.
And then the arm gets basically put into that state there.
And then
planned for this to be soul suicide, but ended up being a lover's suicide, Araragi senpai.
Because when it comes right down to it, Araragi loves himself.
That part right there just had me. Oh, whoa, like, that's heavy. That's a big doozy right there.
Like the idea of a lover's suicide, right? Like it's not unique to Japan, but because of certain like cultural things and stories and things like that, I think there's it's
stronger there than it is in the U.S.
Exactly, right. Yeah, definitely stronger there than it is in the US. So when it's oftentimes brought up in anime, it doesn't mean too much to me.
It doesn't mean as much to me, either.
Because that's just not as much of a
it's not something I see as much in fiction in general.
Right.
And when you do see in fiction more like kind of what I've experienced in my younger years as classical fiction, like Shakespeare, for instance, the double like lover's suicide
is
kind of thing
the ultimate tragedy thing, not like a So, but in this situation, oh man, it just works so well.
It just works really well. Yeah. It's so strong. And
and the whole I'm not a young girl, it's like, oh, hold on, you were born pretty much 6 months ago, so
Yeah, I love Araragi then determining that it's not important whether what he's doing is right or wrong, but then he's saying...
but if you said that what I've done until now wasn't wrong, then neither is this.
So I'm not wrong.
So it's...
Just like you are wrong. It is in some ways like a really wonderful almost declaration of love. Like one of the things that I think has been rather fun about Araragi as a character is that when you look at it as a little bit of a deconstruction, if you will, of the harem kind of type anime and stuff like that,
right?
Which I would just say even that is a little bit just cutting it short, because it has its own like really, really unique drama in that regard, to where it's more just a really cool character piece anime.
Yeah.
But the idea of all these things that he does where he is sacrificing himself for another, that is a pure form of love.
Yeah.
So, oftentimes in fiction, when a character does the self-sacrificial thing for another person, it's followed with a love confession, because that's the only thing left to do in the story, and then we end the story. In this, it's basically recontextualizing every self-sacrifice as a misplaced form of what was always meant to be self-love, because at the time he was not able to love himself, so he pushes out all of his desire to sacrifice and save into an inverted position of it, ends up sacrificing himself, saves a whole bunch of other people, and then here it's all come to the crucible of this whole development for his character, and he saves himself by sacrificing himself, and it's like that's it. That's what it means to be a mature whole person. Because it's so good.
Because and
then there's a love confession as well. Yeah.
I'm really glad you brought up the whole idea that it was a misplaced self-love, basically.
Right.
Because on the surface, it feels like misplaced love, right? In that I care about this person, so I will save them even if it comes at a great cost to myself.
Yep.
But in the case of Araragi, because it's only a sacrifice if you love the thing you're giving up.
Yeah.
Right? So, it very much felt like, and I think this is actually, no, I think this is something that he straight up says in Kizu when he goes back to Shinobu to be fed on. In that basically this will be the one good thing I'll do with my worthless life, or something like that, right?
Whoa.
So it's something where, because he doesn't love himself, and he knows that, because he's like, I'm so worthless, then maybe this is the one way that I can get some worth out of this existence, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that just comes across in almost just, if you took out all the dialogue, just look at the visual way of how he sacrifices himself for Shinobu's sake, or heart on the blade.
Right.
But it totally, you could get that. You could get that vision across as well,
right?
With that.
But I love that you pointed that out there, because I think it would be so easy to stop at just he cares about the people around him. So
right.
So of course he would try and do that, right?
Yeah.
But it goes deeper.
And then Oshino Meme arrives like a goddamn hero.
And maybe this is just because I love Kizu, but it straight up felt like the whole thing of, when he, Oshino Meme, where are you, right? And then, Araragi,
Araragi-kun.
Yeah, what happened? Did something good happen? Yeah.
Yeah. I can't make fun of you as you finally fight for your own sake. The thing he told him basically to do at the end of Kizu there. I respect you, buddy. And then Hanakawa shows up. I was like, I win.
Yeah.
Which is great because there's a couple things here that are really fun about Hanakawa specifically.
Mm-hmm.
She has been, in some ways, one of the most black and white, if you will, of all the characters in all of the story. And when she's been, in some ways, how do you say this? Almost simping for Araragi from back when, you know?
That's
sorry, bad term for it, but basically just the way in which she was doing all this stuff for him at the time here. We think back to that time, though, when her and Ogi are fighting, and it's almost like a contest now.
Yep.
She kind of comes in here with this last, card to play. She's like, I win. So it's almost like she's realized her own self-worth to where even if Oshino Meme's not going to joke about this whole thing here, Hanakawa's like, no, I get to put in one joke here.
Right.
At your expense via Ogi indirectly. So I win, and then just collapse. So I almost saw it as a way of Hanakawa being like, yeah, Oshino, you might not be someone who's you might be someone who's above joking in this situation here, but I'm not. And then, so I almost felt like it was that element of Hanakawa just being that little bit of proud self of being like, yeah.
But you know what else I love about this?
What's that?
Again, with the whole, going back to Kizu, take this whole scene, right?
Oh, yeah.
Take the characters present. Now, Ogi is Araragi, right? But if you think about it, that's pretty similar to how things were with Kizu with Shinobu.
Sure.
Because,
kind of
master and servant, they were connected, right?
Yep.
Their fates were bound together, right?
Right.
And she would always come up, Hanakawa would, with some way to help, some brilliant insight or something like that to help Araragi with the situation at hand, right? Since then, when it happened in that state, there was the whole, them crushing on each other and all that stuff, and it was adorable, right? But since then, Hanakawa has gotten rejected, right? So, what is this new dynamic that they will have moving forward, whatever it is?
Not them together,
but they also haven't really interacted much. Like in the Oikura arc, that was pretty much, I think, the only real arc where they spent a good amount of time together, and, given the conflict with Ogi, who is also Araragi,
sure,
that was a complicated thing.
Yeah.
So here she comes in after looking for Oshino for, a long ass time, and basically is like, I did it.
Yep.
I win.
Exactly.
I win over myself because I managed to get back to the point where I can do this and have it come from a place where I'm okay about it.
Yeah.
Right? Even though I know that you don't love me that way.
Also, I just wanted to bring up the idea of where, in just a strict sense, some of the dialogue can end up kind of telling you what is actually happening at points, which I always wonder if that's something that I'm missing at times because it's a translated work. But the fact that right after she does the I win collapses and stuff in another context, it could be read as a funny scene, even though it is just rather wholesome. Then immediately after that, Ogi goes, "This is a joke," which is not relating to that. It's the bring up thing of like, how the hell did she do that? Yeah, she's really impressive. But I also it could be actually a joke. But then Ogi follows up with she's completely insane, which is what she called herself just earlier for doing this whole thing there.
Oh, nice.
Like, I must be absolutely insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just another cool thing there.
I like it.
Then there's this little thought from Araragi here, and it's like, oh, interesting. Come to think of it, Ogi had been alarmed by Hanakawa from the start. Why is that? The name Ogi was actually Ogi because you added door to wings, wasn't it? Now, I'm going to have that one explained to me because I don't know what that has to do with Ogi being like a word that also is fan in certain
Here's
contexts.
how I could see it happening.
But
because and this is complete conjecture, so I'm probably totally wrong. But this was something that came to mind. Who knows? Maybe I'm right. I don't know.
Is it just the fact that Hanakawa had a dark form as well?
Potentially, but when I think of door and wings, a door is something that opens and closes.
Right.
And wings, if you had, wings, but in a door, that would kind of look like
Unfurled.
a fan. Yeah, that would kind of look like a fan. So maybe that's sort of where that comes from. And then if there's, I don't know what the connection from there would be to Hanakawa.
That's my point. Yeah, I can draw the connection between door and wings just fine, but I don't know what that means within Hanakawa's instance there as well.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then Oshino Meme acknowledging Ogi as family.
Yep.
And it's just like
which I love because it's
it's
wonderful.
It is so good.
It's wonderful.
But all right, the days of kind deception filled with a shallow, weak euphoria have come to an end. I believe that not being concerned for myself was an act of loving others. Gah! Like, there's so much just in this realization part there that just feels so good. Because I feel like there are so many people that go through this type of situation and don't get it this artistically expressed.
Right, well,
with regards to the whole process that it is. Because it's not a just done thing at any point. It is a process.
And it took Araragi this long to figure it out, and that was with a physical manifestation of himself too.
And a lot of
poke at it.
Ridiculously helpful friends.
Yep.
Yeah. Then the little bit of
the repeat with the sisters waking him up.
Yeah. Suki being like, what were you wishing for about your hair? Well, I was wishing your exams would go well. Also a bit about Nadeko-chan. Just then the whole thing, as it was about my hair, I was wishing to God if there was one. And it's just...
More kami wordplay.
Funny with... Yeah, exactly. But then, we have Hachikuji being, the god now. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Indeed.
If there was one. Wait, what? Nothing? What? Yeah. But then freaking...
Let's brush each other's teeth. Whoa, now.
We won't be able to make out like we have been. Oh, yeah. Let's have one last meal feeding mouth to mouth. Oh, my God. But then, Karin, in your case, did you find the right thing turned out to be? And she goes, helping others. And he's like, I see. And then rather than have you potentially go into a situation very similar to mine, I'm going to give you a little tip that I learned over the years as your older brother. Why not start by helping yourself?
And I love this because
that's the whole philosophy of the show.
Yep. But that conversation back in Nisei, right, where he was sort of calling her out on stuff, it always stood out to me as like this is a lot of projection, Araragi, or there's something here that doesn't seem quite right. Like it seems like a limited perspective. So then,
now we have all the context.
Now we've got all the context, and then why don't you start by helping yourself?
Yep, that's so good. And of course, Hachikuji
being amazing and wonderful,
being the goddess that she is. And jokes and stuff aside, there was a moment there where she laughed. And I almost wanted to make is she trying to make fun of Shinobu right there?
I feel like she might have been.
Yeah, she did that, but it wasn't
like the fang.
Yeah, and the fang was even there, exactly. Yeah,
well, and
I know she has the skin fang trope, because she is that character. But it was this bit here. This town will end up without a god again. And let me put on my headphones for this one here, because this part did make me think, is she ribbing on Shinobu?
I wouldn't be surprised because, she was always, her whole thing of, I could devour you, by myself or whatever, right? So maybe this is her sort of also being I finally reign supreme over the lolly trio.
Right. This town will end up without a god again.
And just her art style even changed a bit for when she was laughing like that. So
yeah. You're free to visit any time. Yeah.
Because I like to think that she would sort of be like, hey, Shinobu, you may be super awesome vampire, which you're putting that aside, but guess who's a god, right? But then the whole bit with Kiss Shot with a fabulous dress, by the way.
Oh my God, yes.
That was quite the dress. But my desire, she wants to give up battle and fighting and all of that stuff. Yep. But if my master, so desired, I would go live in the mountains alone, Mm-hmm. No, hold on.
Hell, I'd let you do that.
Yep, uh-huh.
Like, there's no
Mr. Donuts up there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then their redo, but slightly different rendition of if you live today, I'll live today. If you die tomorrow, I'll die I'm fine with my life ending tomorrow. And then
if you die the day after tomorrow, I shall live for 3 days' time.
And tell a tale about you to someone. Yeah. Because going from the tale that they wouldn't tell anyone to, Because
that was so good.
She's so proud of you.
And then we get Hanakawa and Araragi having a nice little banter bit at the bike locks, little parking lot here. And we had some Hanakawa kind of making some jokes here, but also just like, hey, this might be the last time we see each other.
And again, showing how she's been able to find a new way to sort of be around Araragi and talk to him and stuff, even though he rejected her, right?
Yeah.
Selling her brain in exchange.
A bit of her brain.
Because, the jet fighter or whatever. In order
jet setter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was funny. But we ended up getting now just like a little bit of recap with a bunch of the other characters like Onoki and Yotsugi and Yotsuru.
Right.
This is going to be the final time that they'll be able to separate themselves between the adults and stuff.
And then Hitagi.
Yeah, bringing up Hitagi, which is funny because I liked that Hanakawa also didn't mention Senjugahara or Hitagi in asking about all the other people and stuff like that.
Right.
Which is kind of like, right.
She doesn't necessarily want to have the conversation go over there, but if it does, she's okay.
Right. She's totally okay, but rather let it feel like also she's not wanting to give the impression, Araragi, that she's still, clinging to you in any way in that manner, so she doesn't need to know anything about it either.
But then she pokes back when he mentions it.
But when he mentions that, she has her smug face there. Something. And she does like the little I've got a secret. You know, like I know something. And he's like, whoa. Perhaps things haven't gone as far as you think they have. Like, are you thinking like...
What are you thinking? I'm not sure.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, Aragi, don't lie. You totally gone all the way with Senjugahara. Like, there's no way at this point.
Right. Even if he doesn't necessarily want to talk about that kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's all part of the banter. But then Senjo shows up, and you can tell that Senjo is still like, oh.
Well, there's literally like a micro frame of her seeing them walk up together, and she kind of gets this...
Right, exactly. Like,
because,
she's still...
Yeah, she's still a little bit in that self-conscious area of the fact that Hanakawa is prettier than her according to her. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes. And Aragi has even like joked about it in, banter with her of like, yes, I know Hanakawa's boobs are perfect.
But then she's like, oh yeah, our morning Araragi-kun. And so there's a couple things that I love about this, right? That Hanakawa corrects Senjo, right? She's like, what? What are you talking about? Because on the one hand, it's fun ribbing, right?
Yes.
And it's
you guys are really close. So.
You guys are really close, and it's a great bit of comedy.
Yeah.
But on the other side of things, it's also something where she's saying, no.
You're in good company here.
Yeah, you're in good company here.
You don't need to hide anything.
Exactly. That's totally cool.
Yeah.
Hey, remember? No, I'm pretty sure it's Koyomi by now, right? And then Senjo's like. Yeah, does that adorable blush.
Yeah.
And
she calls him Koyomi.
And then Tsubasa-san.
Yeah. And then she basically kind of responds back in that same informal way with the first name to Hanakawa or Tsubasa. And it's that little thing of, hey, well, welcome back. And then she responds back in kind. Yeah. And that's just, that's just so good.
Wonderful.
Wow. But, yeah. All right. Kanbaru prepared a present, and I love that Aragi's right alongside us and being like, I am not
if it's just her naked with a bow that's...
She actually came out in public with a gift of this nature. Nope. It's just a simple flower bouquet.
Yep.
And I love that at this moment, you realize oh, like it's just for Senjo. Calm down. Yeah. Like literally just kind of presents it. It's just fine there. But, she loves them both. They're wonderful. But then running past Araragi in a form that is not exactly like Ogi. And this is something that I thought was rather cool. The idea that Ogi doesn't look exactly like this. Like the hair is brown here, for instance.
Which
there's a lot of little things and stuff there to where you're like, oh, wait, is this...
Who is this? Yeah.
Yeah, who is this? But I thought immediately it was a representation of the fact that Araragi still wants to help save people and stuff.
Yeah, I think there were a couple
ways to take it.
A couple ways to take it. And one, I love that when they say, what is it that Hanakawa and Senjo say to him? They're like,
I think they're like, go.
Off you go.
Right,
exactly. It's the, okay, if there's someone else that, you can help or whatever, yeah, go for it, right? Which is wonderful. Pick up my diploma for me. But I could also see it being something where Ogi was in that form at that point because maybe she has some leftover of the matter generation ability from Shinobu, which is a cool mechanic of why she can be, one, whatever gender she feels like, or well, yeah, she's still she at this point, so I'll use that pronoun for now. But then it also could be something where it's the representation that because Ogi is now different, because Ogi is separate from Araragi, he won't necessarily see her immediately the way that he would have seen her before.
He might not recognize her.
Right? Because it's like she's a totally different person. So, brown hair, whatever, and then the blacked out, silhouette kind of form and all that.
But then there were the text floating above, which basically gives off this is an aberration kind of vibe as well.
Yeah.
So, or there's an aberration surrounding this person. So then they go, hey, you're Araragi in some ways, the specialist. Go help them out and stuff. So then Araragi goes to help them out. It's Ogi. And Ogi's like, hey, well, you've changed a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
But no matter how much I change, I'm still me. Yeah. I just love that.
The flowers that Suruga brought, were they actually for the other girl that she's shown with in the end credits kind of bit?
You mean Hanakawa?
No. Because in the final scene where it shows them all in the still.
Let me see.
Yeah, because that's someone else. Because Hanakawa's over there. I believe we might have seen her in.
Hanakawa is holding a flower thing.
Oh no!
They're all holding flowers.
Oh, cool. Okay, they all have flowers. Cool. Okay, and then I believe that character is one that we saw in Hana briefly.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Hachikuji's
just
there,
barely on screen there.
She doesn't want to steal the whole spotlight, being a god and everything, right?
Exactly. The common folk would be clamoring.
Exactly.
And then Ogi kind of peers just into frame as it zooms out with Yotsugi and Shinobu.
Shinobu bookends.
Yep, exactly. Oh, that's so good. And then, of course, Shinobu in her younger form. Once upon a time in a certain place, there's a weirdo named Araragi Koyomi. And all lived happily ever after.
Yep.
I heard the story recited from the shadow running alongside me. Basically saying, and this is something I wanted to bring up that I think you noticed too, was that she said, if you were to die...
I would retell the story. I would tell the story to whoever would hear.
Yeah, I would. If you die the day after tomorrow, I shall live for 3 days' time and tell the tale about you to someone. Which, if this is kind of another way of looking at it, is that Araragi the boy did die.
Yes. And so she's telling the tale.
And so she's telling the tale about you to someone, but it's also saying, I did die, kiss shot. I, as the vampire, did then die.
That too, yeah.
And was reborn in my, younger form.
In the form that I now choose.
Exactly. Yeah. So...
Right, which also is a nice thing to go into.
She's actually fulfilling the promise to him.
Right, she's fulfilling the promise, and then maybe that's also how Araragi gets the idea to pen it all down under the pen name of Nisio Isin to, write the story for all of us.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. But fantastic episode.
So good. How is there more?
It's the discussion. Yes, how is there more? I don't know. I don't know, man. But
wow. Because I know that the light novels continue way past when the show ends to like
Okay.
Aragi's time in college and things
Oh,
like
dang,
that, right?
really?
Apparently.
Oh, okay.
Right? Awesome, cool.
So that might be it, is that they just used one of those light novels.
Sure, like 6 episodes worth of, or whatever it is of, you know,
The
a
light
little
novels
bit of time
aren't
in
long.
college.
They're light novels. That's the
it's
point,
like
right?
200, 250 pages. Kizu was actually fairly long. I think Kizu was like full 300, but...
Okay. But yeah, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion of whatever's coming next with Monogatari right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. Any level support gets you access to our Discord where you can chat with us and the community there about Monogatari, anime in general, storytelling, what have you. And you can also check out our Twitch channel.
Indeed. We stream Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Monday is podcast. Tuesday is One Piece dramatic manga readings. Wednesday and Friday, Caleb does gaming.
I play Hades.
Yes, and then Thursday, I play Persona 4 Golden.
So if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.